court administration system. In that capacity, I supervise over 40 hearing officers who are attorneys who also preside over administrative hearings. We get about 200,000 new summonses every year, and we don't get 200,000, thank God, hearings, but we do have to manage that. So I manage the hearings adjudication section, and I also manage the back office of that. I also manage the appeals. We have an appeals tribunal consisting of 3 hearing officers who decide appeals internally, and then after the internal appeal, you can go outside to Supreme Court to an Article 78. So that's basically my work experience. Why did I decide to run for civil court judge in Queens County? That's a good question. I keep asking myself, especially now. Well, I was approached and given the opportunity to do that in July. Some people were like, I never heard of you. Well, I was approached in July because Governor Hochul added additional vacancies to the civil court and I think also Supreme Court, but definitely civil court, because there were only 2 vacancies. And then in July, after the primary, she added 3. So that's how I came about, and a few other people. Now, why do I think I can be a terrific civil court judge? First of all, I have 27 years of experience in administrative hearings, which are all civil in nature. So I understand civil proceedings. Number 2, I've also managed. I've managed people and I've managed an operation. In my current job, I manage a $30 million contract to support the back office operations. So, if you manage $30 million, you must be able to manage properly, hopefully, right? So between my legal experience and my management, I think those are 2 definitely distinct areas that are excellent for a judge. Because sometimes, for anyone who has gone to court, you go to court sometimes and you're just sitting there, right? You're there, you're back, for months. Nothing is resolved. Sometimes, not all the time, but a lot of times that has to do with the judge. Is the judge running the courtroom properly? Are they just wasting your time? I've been in court situations where, things are going on for 6 months where they didn't need to go on for 6 months. And that is not me. I'm a very efficient person. I solve problems. I can spot a problem and resolve it. And I think, that, again, having that management and having that legal experience makes me a wonderful candidate. And in terms of fairness, because I think that's something that people want to see when they come to court. They want a judge who's going to be fair. And I'm thinking about this story today, and I'm like, should I tell it? Because it could sound, well, I'll tell it. So I had an employee years ago who I had to make a decision to demote. And, who wants to demote somebody? But after I had to demote her, she wrote a card, which I carry around with me to every job I go to. And she said, basically, Marianne, I'm not happy that I was demoted, but I know that you were fair. You gave me every opportunity, you coached me, you tried to help me, you were pushing me. I couldn't do it. And, I saved that card and I carried it. I was like, first of all, I've never gotten a card from somebody I've demoted, but not just that she did it, but that's who I am. I champion people. I want the best for people, but I can also make a decision that may not be the decision that the person wants. But usually, as long as they know that I was fair and that I heard what they said and I gave them a fair shot, that the person usually is able to take whatever decision there is. And so that's who I am. And I think that's it. I don't want to prolong. You guys have been so good to wait for me. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I have no idea what I'm voting for. I can vote for your position.
You have no what?
I have no idea what I'm voting for.
Okay, so you're voting, that's a good question, thank you for it. So the question is, or the comment is, I have no idea what I'm voting for. So you're voting for civil court judge. On the ballot, there are 3 different judicial positions. One is right below the president and the senatorial candidates. Okay, that's the 3rd one, that's Stephen Weiner, who's running for surrogate's court against Cassandra Johnson. So you vote for one person from that. Then on the back, the last group of people on the back of the ballot is the Supreme Court, and then that's another group of justices that you're voting for, and I believe it is 7 out of 8 candidates. So when you go there, it's going to say choose 7 out of 8. Now you don't have to choose all 7, you can just choose whoever you want to choose. And then the last slot of group of people is the position that I'm running for, which is civil court. And it'll say choose 5 out of 8. I think it's 8 people, yes, 5 out of 8. So you don't have to choose 5, you can definitely just choose 1 or 2. I started off telling you how many Republican candidates are on the ballot. So you vote your conscience. So I'm running for civil court judge. It's the last group of candidates that you can vote for on the ballot. Okay, you'll see, it's very small, it's really hard to read. But in the corner of the ballot on the left side, it'll say choose 5, vote for any 5, and that's what you can do.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Patrick?
Is that like a ranked choice voting thing?
It is, well, for civil court, it's 5 out of 8.
One other pertinent question, are you running as a Democrat, as a conservative?
Republican. I was endorsed by the Republican Party. I was recruited and endorsed by the Republican Party. And I'm not, like I said, I've been a Republican since I was 18 years old. I've never changed. And, I've stayed in contact, but this is my first time running. It wasn't something that I was looking for. They approached me. Yes.
You were endorsed by the Republican Party of Queens?
Yes.
That doesn't mean that. But I know.
Yes. Well, I'll take it.
So many times when I go and vote, you'll see the candidate under all parties, same candidate.
I know.
I don't, what is that?
Well,
all about?
sometimes,
What is that all
so the
about?
question is, the comment is sometimes he'll go and he'll see the same name under different groups. And that's because sometimes people are endorsed by, for like Republican, it will be usually conservative, right? By the time I got on the ballot, it was too late for me to be, to get the conservative endorsement. So there's one person that's Republican who's also endorsed by the Conservative Party. And then sometimes you'll see people like Democrat, Working Party, or you'll see Common Sense. Yeah, you see them. That's because they've gotten endorsements from every single party on the ballot. That's all. But if you vote for that person 4 times, I don't think it's gonna count 4. This is gonna be 1. So don't waste your vote that way. Like I said, you can choose 1, you can choose 2, 3, 4, 5. It says choose up to 5.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
My question?
Yes, civil court?
No, not really, because this is, you're assuming that I know this thing runs, this is my first time actually voting like that.
I can show you the ballot. I have a copy of the ballot on my phone.
Yeah, well, let me see it, but this is my first time actually voting in this kind of election.
Okay.
And I didn't know you vote for judges and all that kind of stuff.
A lot of people don't realize
Right,
that.
so you're talking as though everybody knows, that's why I said I don't understand.
I apologize. Yes, I can show you the ballot. I know, people are focused on the presidential, let's just face it, right? But people.
They don't necessarily focus. What is happening is that you have people who are coming to this country and don't understand how things run, and then they start to vote and don't understand all that. I said plainly, I don't understand, so.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and I'll definitely show it to you. And on the ballot also, there are propositions, that you have to vote on as well, very important to look at that. And the ballots are online. I can show anybody how to look it up, so you can read it ahead of time before you go to the poll.
Thank you very much, Marianne Morel.
Thank you so much for
In the case of Sophia's question, this is the first time she's voted. She became a citizen just recently, so that's the reason she'd like to have an education. So I want to thank her very much, Sophia, for being a citizen and also registered as a Republican. Okay, so without further ado, until the rest of the meeting's over at 9:30, we'll turn back to the roundtable panel. I guess first question I'd like to ask Bob Chou is, why didn't Marianne Maloney get a chance to get the Queen's endorsement from you in time?
I spoke to you. I was mad at him. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway,
I'd like to be
now
on
back
that.
to the table. All right,
Point of order, real quick, point of order. Listen, I know what it's like to go into a meeting and like be yelled at and all that stuff. Let's give Theo like some respect, let him speak, because the important thing that Theo got right now is he knows how to do the county committee. And we gotta work with him, because the county committee is the only way that we're gonna get out of this mess. So let's listen to this guy and not give him shit, we don't agree with him, it's fine, but let's learn, let's focus on that, because that's what we gotta know. That's what we gotta know.
thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick, you want to say something?
The annual has a list of 6 proposals on the ballot. You can check it out on the Queen's,
Website.
the Central Queen's
GOP.
website and or email, and you'll be able to review those ballots yourself.
Right.
Those proposals.
Okay, all right, that was a long intermission. Getting back to our earlier conversation, I'm very glad Theo brought up the issue of socialism in America being linked to the union movement in the 1870s and 1880s. We've come a long way, okay? We're in a much different world, but that is a prime example. The union movement here in the United States is a prime example of yet another failure of socialism, okay? And I will explain this to you, Theo, okay? I have been a lifelong union member. In my younger days, back in the 90s, I was in Local 32E, which is now absorbed due to corruption, absorbed into 32BJ. I ascended to be a district shop steward. I was on the negotiating committees. I was all union, rah, 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 okay? In sitting in the negotiations and in the back room, I realized, and this was back in the 90s, that this union was not working for their membership. They were working for themselves, okay? In this socialist system that Theo loves, these people ascended to a rank of power, okay? So now they started using that. Fast forward 2 years from those contract negotiations, every union business agent that I sat in those negotiations with was rounded up by the FBI and taken to jail, okay? Fast forward, the entire union was taken down. I ask everybody here today, do you know where the last president of the International Auto Workers Union is? He's sitting in federal prison right now, okay? Taking bribes. This is another prime example of why socialism fails. And why does it always fail? It's a great idea. I have to agree. The ideology behind it is absolutely amazing. But the one thing it doesn't count for is human beings and individuals. And as long as we are human and we are not robots, and some of us have a degree of ambition that's higher than others, the system will always, inevitably fail. If we take human beings out, it's utopia. It is. Socialism on paper is utopia, but it is impossible to put it into practice because of us. And that's why I am so vehemently against socialism.
Well, I want to thank you because you brought up the union. And when I ran for public advocate, I was sitting there, they invited me. And I was literally, I felt like a monkey in the room. They lined us up outside the room, all of us, Republican and Democrat, sitting one after the other. And then you can hear the person in the room begging for the endorsement of the union, saying what the union meant. And when my turn came in, I walked into the room for the first time, and I saw 30 people around. And they looked at me like, tell us what we want to hear. Not what you think, tell us what we want to hear for our union member. And you're absolutely right when you said there is corruption in the union in the United States. It's a failed system. Yes, the union created us, the Socialist Party, but the union in the United States didn't have the check and balance that is so American. And what happened, and I agree with when Giuliani took down the union and all that, the corruption and the stuff that I will not mention because
This all goes on still today.
Yes.
The Teamsters Union, this election cycle, okay, the Teamsters Union was challenged about their previous endorsement, okay? So they said, we're gonna have a clear and open endorsement process this year. 69% of their membership said, we're with Trump. What did union leadership do? What did they do? Did they endorse Trump? No. They said no. They did not do what their membership directly told them
that's
to.
the problem.
And that is socialism.
No, that's
Socialism
corruption.
always ends with those on top ignoring those on the bottom. okay? It's been proven throughout history. Read thousands of years back. It has failed in every instance,
I disagree, but
okay?
I will
Where was
say-
it successful? Where has success, where
Well,
has
hold on.
socialism
Well, you go to-
lasted more than
You go to
250, 300
Europe,
years?
you go to Europe, you look at.
Failing countries, right now, Greece went bankrupt.
Yeah,
Every
because
other,
of- because of
every
the
other
Amer- because of
European
Wall Street.
nation now
Because
is
of Wall
teetering
Street.
on the brink. No, Greece went bankrupt because of guaranteed lifetime income.
No,
The
because they
socialism.
cooked the book, because Wall Street cooked the book for Greece to go into the European Union.
But anyway,
So
if I could make a proposal.
But let me say this, from France, if you go from Paris to Lyon, which is a town 700 miles, 7 kilometers away from the other side, you take the train, you do it in 2 hours. Why? Because you go to China. China has a very high-speed network of train, because they have taken and made it a policy to make it
Because they have
happen.
abused their workforce.
China,
They
yes.
have used,
France,
they
no.
have abused, this is how they built these great socialist utopias. But the proposal I want to make is to move on from this argument against
Okay.
socialism, and let's get into some current political
Okay,
issues.
let's do that.
Yeah, let's also answer some questions from the audience. I'll let you guys pick wherever you want to go. I'll let you guys
Yes.
pick.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah, hold on, wait for the
Hold on, let me
mic.
get you the microphone.
Yeah, but the people on Zoom.
YouTube, so you hear it.
We'll get passionate.
Bob, too. I remember when they gave away freebies. Mayor Bill de Blasio gave you a slice of pizza to vaccinate yourself. Yeah, that was memorable and disgusting. This is what we do, we give away freebies in New York, so we can just buy people and their DNA, right? That worked well for a lot of people. Second part. That's it.
That's a comment.
You want to say anything? Okay. Pick wherever you like.
Whoever's got their hands up.
Daniel,
Okay.
the person you're next to, right?
If somebody else.
Yeah, so I just want you to define socialism, just very simple with socialism.
Who, me? You want?
Yes.
I'll start very simple. Socialism is where you put the human being in the center of the project. The project, whatever it is the human being first. The individuality of the human being within the collective. And that's where it's going to get complicated. When we talk about taking or making a law, it's about taking freedom away. And the debate around the socialist platform is about taking a freedom away. So the thing is, we're supposed to have different people fighting for it. Some people agree on this, some people disagree on the topic. But socialism is about socialist system is about having a system of discussion where we can have a disagreement. We are taking this freedom because we are not taking this freedom because. Let's fight it out. And socialism is about discussing the removal of the freedom, because for the group, for society to work, we need to curtail certain freedom. And that's where it gets complicated.
That is totally contrary to what this country was founded on.
No, it's not.
It is completely the opposite.
Very simple thing.
But it's about.
Very simple thing. Improve themselves, get a job.
I agree to that.
You don't like the job? Get another one, or build your own company.
Yes.
This is what America is for. Isn't that what we're here for? The American dream? You know, by the way, I like the pizza too, you know. Well, but the thing is, right?
The answer on socialism.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Here we go.
You know, I came from the Europe, from Poland, and Poland was under the Socialist Party. Under the Socialist Party.
That's what they call it. And it was one party.
Yes,
When you have a one party, you have a corruption.
correct.
If you have a corruption, because they have to, put their own friends to the office for the cozy job. But so your freedom or your neighbor's freedom is gone. Because they go, like in my country, they manipulate how, okay, you want to go to other country? Pay the bribes. Put the alcohol on the table. That's where the corruption is starting. And the corruption is on every level. Besides that, it's nothing like, to produce something better or to work better or to give from yourself some invention or something like that for the country. No, because it's not worth it. If you try to do something better, then you're going to be, put down because they will say you are too smart. You should not work over here. Maybe you should look for a different job. If you start to talk too much, they're going to not play with you. They're going to kill you. That's what it was. Thousands of Polish people was killed because the Socialist Party was established by Poland. And people ran from Poland to United States to have a freedom. People ran from Europe to have a freedom in the United States. Now what we see is going to the direction opposite, from the capitalists to the socialists, to the communists. Socialists never established as a socialist, it go another step to the fascists and communists. And that's why over 100 millions of people was killed after this, in the Second War and after the Second War. And it will happen again.
It is communism.
And
It is communism.
You want to make some comments, any one of you?
One thing, you don't just change your name and then to avoid people calling you criminal. You don't just change your name. You know what I'm saying? Communists, socialism, do they do the same thing?
Yes.
And now you're telling me that I'm not because the name is different? Yo, no. I don't think so. Because we come from those countries that is socialism and then communism together, and then they create lots of, guess how many people got killed in China back then? 40 million. 40 million people. That's almost like twice of Taiwan. That's the reason why my grandparents, they go to Taiwan because they don't want to get killed. They don't want to get killed. Because at the beginning they said, we give you the land, everybody is equal. We give you the land. We don't like dictatorship. We don't like the capitalism, blah, 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 blah. So people believe it because a lot of people, they don't have, they're not educated back then. So they think that's okay. They think that's good. So they accept the socialism. They accept the communism. And guess what happened? After they took the power, after they took all the guns. You're right. And guess what happened? 40 million people died. And then another 20 million people died because of starving. That's the total.
That's socialism. That's communism. That's socialism.
Okay? Because they said we are socialism.
Communism.
At the beginning, they said we are the socialism. Now the problem is, once they got the power, the more power you got, the more corrupt you got. You could be.
What happened in Venezuela?
That's
When the socialists took over Venezuela,
they turn.
what happened?
They turn.
They turned.
They
to
turned.
communism.
Yes.
When the socialists take over everywhere, it inevitably leads to communism.
But how can you explain
Never
Europe?
once in history has it not progressed to communism.
But how?
Never once.
What?
I mean,
I'm sorry, Kim, you want to take a question?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank all of you for giving us the honor of coming, because a lot of people didn't. And this is such an important discussion, and I really appreciate we're having it. And Theo, I'd like to thank you for coming and facing me today. But I Two things first of all, I just want to say, you mentioned that you were a Bernie Sanders supporter. Confession time, I was too. I have over the last few decades, been on a journey of rethinking. And one of the things that I really have come to see, and you said it yourself just a moment ago, that the idea of socialism is that you have to give up a certain amount of freedoms in order to, and I saw, because in the last several years, I've been saying, why was it that all my most far left friends were among the most awful, to be perfectly honest.
They are.
Absolutely awful. And I said to myself, I have to start thinking about what it is about this philosophy. And you hit the nail on the head. But I want you guys to be discussing this because I'm far from an expert on it. But I had a question to ask you. You said you're going to vote for Kamala Harris. I understand you're a Democrat, so maybe you feel forced to, but you specifically said that the party was concerned with power and that she's a liberal, that she's not a socialist. I don't think she's a liberal. I don't think she has any principles, but that's another question. But you said that you're going to vote for her, but you also said that the party is mainly concerned with power, and also that that you think it's really important for people to vote their values. So I'm curious to know why, instead of voting for, obviously you're not going to vote for Donald Trump, but why aren't you voting for Jill Stein? If you're concerned
I'll go
with
very
those
quickly.
values.
I'll go very quickly. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party are quasi-government institutions ingrained in the Constitution of the state of New York. The commissioner organized the election, Republican and Democrat. On the commissioner table, there never has been a conservative commissioner. They haven't been a Green Party conservative commissioner. They haven't been a reform when there were all those parties. If the Board of Election had a commissioner of each party represented in the state of New York, the election law would be very different.
Certainly don't disagree with you on that point.
So the problem is that Jill Stein and everybody else in the third party world are just puppet to the will of the Democratic and the Republican Party together, deciding how that candidate can hurt the other candidate that is not me. And that's how they use, and I watch them at the Board of Election eliminate candidates because they will hurt their candidate. And we have seen that over and over. And we need to change that. And that's why I don't want Jill Stein to be a third party candidate. I want Jill Stein to be the Green faction inside the Democratic Party. And if she had that, but she refused. Anyone in the United States seems to not understand the quasi-governmental function of the Democratic and the Republican Party. And that's why I say, you have to get involved in your Republican Party. And Daniel here should be the next chair of the Queens County Republican Party. And in Manhattan, Dr. Devi should be the chair of the Manhattan Republican Party. But Dr. Devi right now is in a lawsuit for the last year and a half, fighting for her life because they're using the system against her. And basically, the system is broken. Instead of her building the Republican Party in Manhattan, she's not doing anything of that. She's working and she's fighting a lawsuit against the CFB. So basically, we need to stop fighting inside, like one party against the other. We need to rebuild all our parties from the ground up until every county, committee, election district is fought for. We need to fight for the value around our neighbor, Democrat and Republican, and we need to go convince them that our word is better than the other. But we need to do it.
I don't know how you can make so much sense and still be a socialist.
Well,
That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
now,
Everything he's saying is contradicting being a socialist.
But
I
that-
don't understand this.
but
He
because-
thinks he's a socialist.
because no, hold on.
There's a conservative in you dying to get out. Yeah, that's what's going on.
350 million Americans believe socialism is what it
I
is.
don't care what people. You said it yourself. Socialism is about taking away rights.
Yes.
You said that is the foundation of socialism. That couldn't be further from what America is. I'm sorry.
We have a question here to the people. For my friend in the middle, what's more important, freedom or safety?
Well, to have safety, that means you're going to have to remove someone's to freedom. You cannot.
Which one is it?
What?
Is safety more important and is freedom more important?
Both
They're
are.
not even.
No, they're not even. You're absolutely right.
Safety or freedom? Which would you pick?
On what?
Freedom.
Hold on.
We know the answer, but let's ask the question.
Well, it depends. It depends on the
So we're
topic.
not taking something away from you. Are we taking your freedom or are we taking your safety?
Neither.
Something's being taken from you.
But-
Which one are you giving up?
But on a topic, you need to be topical.
You're losing something. What are you giving up?
But the thing is,
There's no but. You're giving up something. What's it gonna be? Your left eye or your right eye? But you lose one. What are you giving up?
it depends on the case by case. It's a case by case. It's a case by case issue.
Well, Jimmy, as he described socialism, it's the taking away of freedoms. So I think we could assume what the answer would be. Whereas I do agree.
Okay, everybody's back.
That's how a county committee needs to be.
This is great. This is great.
I just realized one thing. You know, as a socialism, so it's falling to what? Give up the freedom? No. I just realized one thing. Since he's a
Okay, please, let's let him talk. Okay, let's let him talk. We got 4 minutes left.
I love this. I love this.
We continue.
Okay, well, I just realized one thing. You're right. As a socialism, you know, you're saying that he's willing to give up the freedom to be, safe, right? But deep in his heart or mind, whatever, he doesn't want to give up the freedom.
We agree.
But
we will. But the problem is.
So do you have the voter registration form? The voter registration form? He's about to switch party to us. Welcome to my family.
Let's have one more question and then we're going to wrap it up, okay? So Taisha hasn't said anything yet, so let's pass the mic to Taisha.
Where were you born? Were you born here?
I was born in France, but hold on. My grandfather was a Japanese American. Born in Chicago in 1914. He got thrown in. He was a socialist Japanese American who was thrown in jail because he was a draft. He broke his draft card. After he was sent to jail. And hold on. He was sent to jail, and he ended up in Europe. Fighting for America. He had to make a choice between fascism and America. And my grandfather.
He asked me a question. The follow-up question is, with all the countries that say they're socialist, why do you want to make this country a socialist?
Because it's already a socialist country. You don't realize. If you're a billionaire, you can do whatever you want.
Why don't you live in those other countries? You already have it set up. Why don't you live there?
But I already live over there too. I am from New York. And my mother sent me to France when I was 7 years old because free school was cheaper in France and in better quality than it was on West 141st Street and Broadway.
I'm gonna wrap it up since we have 3 more minutes left. Any last statements you'd like to make?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for hosting this night, Daniel, and the club. I look forward to coming back and doing this again. I just wish that the subjects would have went beyond the socialism.
Agreed.
We all know it's bad, but real quickly, I do want to say something I spoke to Daniel a little earlier. We have a big problem with conservative and Republican parties. When we have a candidate wins a district, instead of us backing these candidates, we kind of see it as an area that's a winnable seat. And we end up with 6 Republicans running against a Republican conservative. And we need to stop this, okay? When we make that monumental task like we just did in the Bronx, in the 13th City Council District, electing Christy Marmorato, I already have people coming to me and want to challenge her, because now they think a Republican and a conservative can win in that site. This is absurd, and we need to stop doing this, okay? When we get a candidate in, George Santos was thrown out of Congress. What happened? What did the Republicans in Congress accomplish by throwing George Santos out? They turned the seat blue, okay? And we're repeating that mistake on every level, okay? I understand there's rhinos out there, whatever you want to call them. I'm not a Republican. I hate to meddle and use that word, but we need to say, okay, that's a 1 seat. Let's get the seat next door. Don't go after that one because it's winnable. Go after the one that's not winnable right now. And that's what we need to start doing here in New York City if we're ever going to get ahead. It's ridiculous. As the county chair in the Bronx, I see the most absurd things when a little headway is made. Things are done to destroy that headway. And I just wanted to get that point in tonight, and thank you for listening.
I agree with you in the sense that we need to go after every seat, Democrat and Republican, and others to fight for those.
I'm sorry, just to what Chino, Theo just said. In the Bronx, we have, out of 21 seats, we managed to get 18 candidates on the conservative line. And that's what this is about, okay? We need to get those candidates up there. We only lost 1 to a challenge.
Well, good luck. And thank you, Daniel, for having me and everybody here. I know this is not your cup of tea, but that's okay. I didn't come here, but I didn't come to talk about that, but we needed to get it out so you know where we start. And then we can work on building the county committee, Republican and Democrat and conservative. You're doing that.
Yes,
I know
next year we're doing it.
Well, no, we need to build our county committee.
We have to vote for
I will let. Well, I will do the judicial thing. I will keep it to myself. You'll never know what it is. That's one thing of America is great. That is, you have the secrecy. You have the secrecy of your vote, and it should be secret, and you should not fear when you go to that poll site to vote for whoever you care to vote for. And it is not me who's going to tell you tonight. That's your person.
Well, there's two little things that I want to talk about, okay? One thing is, I realize, isn't it wonderful that we have a democracy here? Just think about it. I totally disagree with something, but I totally willing to fight for his right. Okay? And another thing, I'm actually originally from Taiwan.
Why don't you give John Rinaldi the line in the 28th Assembly District?
Why is that seat vacant? He has the Republican line, he has the Truth line, he has the We the People. How come Jonathan Rinaldi does not have the conservative line in Queens? Why is that? Why did you leave it vacant? Why is that? Is there a reason for that? Are you tied to the Republican Party? I mean, he only needed 10 signatures anyway to get onto the conservative line in the 28th Assembly District. Why doesn't he? There's no other candidate, no other Republican candidate ran. How come he doesn't have the conservative line?
When do you actually come to the, the meeting?
He came to the meeting and you rejected him, he told me.
I mean, I've been to the meeting. I mean, listen, when I ran for office, right, I didn't get your endorsement.
When is it?
Huh?
When is it?
No, I'm not running, I just said, but it doesn't matter.
He's running for assembly right now.
Yeah, I'm running
And he's running for city council as well at the same time.
Because I'm actually officially become the chair as.
So he's gonna be running for city council. You wanna know?
Phil, you have a great question. The problem is he did not become a chairman until this year. So he,
Yeah.
so
that's actually the reason why when the lady was at the beginning she was actually pretty mad at me, and then after I explained to her, she said, "Oh, okay." So I said, next time please come to me first, because actually I become officially the chair, the position like after this. So to me it's more like, okay, I'm still learning, I'm still trying to pick up the things. But one thing I want to mention is, actually, you don't see this in some other, so-called, the socialist country or the communist country.
Communist.
I mean, I have to make this very, very clear. Okay, I'm sorry, because, I'm from Taiwan. Taiwan is actually now the very first country that it's democracy that we just have our presidential election, okay, and then we don't see like so many crazy stuff. People are disagree with each other. They might killing some each other sometimes. All those. But the true thing is, I totally disagree, but I 100% protect your right. Okay? But another thing that we have to make sure one thing is, okay? I still remember back then when socialism, when they tried to, don't hate me, okay? But when they try to tell you that we are no harm, we are same, we brothers, okay? But when it ends up 60 million people got killed. Okay? That's like the poison covered by the sugar. We have to be very, very careful with this. Okay?
Okay, anyways, 50-50 times, will these two people go up to the table and just take any prizes from the table? Those two people are?
We got it. Oh, okay. Jay Feldman.
Okay, I think he just. I think he just left, but that's okay. He'll get.
Okay, and Jim Livieri.
So I need two more names for the 50-50 table. Okay. Sophia, where?
Sophia Warren?
And Eric Kamizinski, anything on the table. And the winner of the 50-50 is
R.R. MacArthur.
Robert MacArthur. You win in the 50-50. Okay, it's 9:36. Thank you very much for coming. I want to thank our guests and panels. Any one of you that will answer whatever questions you have. So. Oh, Robert MacArthur. He's shocked. He's there. Okay, thank you very much for coming. Have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Oh, it was a pleasure. To be continued.
Socialism, okay? You might end up making nice regulation of food. like in the communist country here.
I have one.
I have one. Yes, okay. So you might end up making lines, okay? Because you're making a fool like Cuba. So think about the country.
Okay, so that's the conclusion of today's meeting of the Central Queens Republican Club. I hope you had an interesting time. We apologize for the issues with sound and having to go offline multiple times, but hopefully we'll get better as we go along. And we'll see you next time. Don't forget to vote.
You have to vote for the country. Okay?